Aloha mai kako, everyone. Happy Saturday. Welcome to a very special episode today of the Moana Nui Podcast. I'm joined by some amazing Hawaii creators. And, when you want to connect back to the islands, you got to be mindful of the time and the time zone difference and all that fun stuff. So I'm always happy to accommodate their schedules because I think the work that they do is so amazing and so important, and I think it's really important for our audience to see it and help us get the word out. So, my two guests are the two Chris's, my favorite two Chris's. Christopher Carvalho, he is the founder of Moana Comics. He grew up on the island of Oahu. And he's also a full-time police officer for HPD. Mahalo for his service in that way. And in his free time, he is the creator of Moana Comics, the Aumakua series, Nui Nui Warriors, Kamehameha, and now Pele. So if you've never heard about these people, you're going to learn more about them today. And I'm really excited to talk about it a little bit more. Our second guest is actually one of my favorite artists for all ages art. His art style is super fun. And I'm excited to have him on as well and talk to him more about his participation with Moana Comics as part of their team. Chris Loman is a Hapa kid who's lived most of his life in Hawaii after moving around with his military family during his childhood. He started drawing comics at an early age and just developed a lifelong love for it, just like a lot of other creatives that I talk to. Drawing has always been his way of coping and blending into the background since he was constantly on the move as a kid. And that can be tough as you're trying to, be a kid and leave your friends every time you got to go someplace. So I can definitely see how drawing would help him there. It's been comics and art has been a passion for him while he was also completing college and going into the workforce. He's a self-taught artist, and he eventually got published doing the art for a short story for Billy Jump. And then the two Chris's teamed up together to start Aumakua, Guardians of Hawaii. So let's bring them both on. I'm so happy to see them today. Aloha, guys.
Hello. Thank you for having us again. We're like this luggage that can't go away. We're always going to be there. So thank you, Moana.
That's right. No, we need those consistent people, like the ones that the bride are gonna have your back. That's the one.
I appreciate you. Thank you, Moana, for having us again.
Yes, for sure. So today we're going to talk about the Pele Kickstarter, and obviously, just some questions about like your creative process and some of your other projects too, because I think it's great for people to know, a little bit behind the creators and what drives you guys. So I think let's start with, we'll start with an easy one. So what is your favorite part of being a creator for each of you guys? And
honestly, I haven't had a chance to work with Marvel or DC, and that was my dream thing when I was 18. Like, oh my God, that would be so cool. And in your mind, when you're that young, you're sitting up in your head. It's like, oh yeah, I can be this awesome creator, artist, a writer, and I can have a mansion. You really don't have no idea what that life is. However, you've kind of just from the outside looking in. But I think that part never happened. So, but once I decided to do it on my own, and I saw just the way the creation went, and I could just have my hands totally in it and molding it how I kind of envisioned how it is, and I thought, it probably wouldn't be like this if I did work for the big two in any way. Like they would have more say and control of whatever I was doing. So as a creator, it's to have just that more creative, like I said, creative control, and just having to build your universe the way you kind of envision it to go. So that is extremely liberating. I think a freedom that a lot of the guys who do jump into Marvel and DC maybe can't experience, but there's some guys that like maybe just prefer the regimen. It's like, hey, do it like this, and they're okay with that. But I don't know. I think there's a truer happiness when you get to do something that you're passionate about, which Moana Comics, the universe itself, that I'm trying to just keep it going. It's definitely gratifying.
Definitely. How about you, Chris?
For me, it's really the finished products that come out. It's like, because I love just drawing in general. I love just, like I could sketch for days, but then like when there's an idea and then having to put it on paper and then just flesh it out, and then it's, hours of work, and then finally the finished piece, and then Chris will shoot me the colored piece after, and just seeing it all come together is the biggest satisfaction, to me.
Yeah, I think that's a truth for a lot of us, especially as writers. Like, oh my gosh, this thing I had in my head is now something that's on paper and it looks amazing.
Yeah. Moana, and you understand too, it really depends on how you're gelling with someone too. Like for Chris, it's so easy. What's up, Phil? It's so easy that like I don't really have to put too much, and Chris can somehow piece together whatever I said, and he gets it. But I think that's with time working with Chris. But I don't think I'd say thank you enough for Chris to be able to just scour through the remnants of what I don't put enough detail when I give things to him. But he manages to pull it off and just knock it out the park every time.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, Chris has an amazing art style. And so I wanted to talk a little bit more. Last time, I don't think we got to talk about it, but a while back, like you did a series called the Dwarf Star Chronicles. And I think that was your own IP, right? Can you tell us a little bit about that project and how that got started and everything?
Sure. It's actually a partnership with like a childhood friend of mine. So for that, it's he has them like had the story idea, and then we just kind of put it together, and I fine-tuned it for the book basically. But his name's Tim Nelson, and so we've known each other since I was 12 basically. So we've been, we did all the things, Dungeons and Dragons, comic collecting, we play Magic the Gathering, just a bunch of stuff that we do together. But anyway, Dwarf Star is a story that follows the crew of a spaceship, kind of like the Firefly, from Serenity and stuff like that, where it's just a small ship. This ragtag team goes to different planets and they pull off heists. And so in the first issue, they are trying to get this red heart diamond from the Red Queen, and so from Alice in Wonderland. And so they're there and trying to pull that off. The second issue I actually finished. I'm finishing up the colors also, but all the art and lettering is all done. I just have to get it put together, but that's after Pele. So once Pele's done, we'll get that done. But it follows them as they now go to a gingerbread penitentiary and are breaking out Mr. Toad from prison, and then they're gonna go off to their next thing because he has some information about this legendary sword that they're gonna go to try and steal next. So yeah, it's just it's fun, self-contained stories that kind of build on each other. But we had long-term goals for these characters, but it's slow going because you have to
Powerball, brother.
Yep.
Yeah, Phil said, did you just say gingerbread penitentiary? Yes, that's what he said.
Yes.
He's gonna eat his way out.
Yes.
That sounds awesome. You brought up a great point in terms of all of that having to be after Pele. Like as an artist and one that's kind of like in demand, how do you juggle the schedules, and how do you work, try to like if someone approaches you like, hey, we want to work on this project, but then you're not quite available, but you want to do the project, like how do you navigate that?
Well, honestly, for most bigger projects, it's just I can't. If you want to wait a while, then it's possible. But for the monocomic stuff, I've always kind of made it a priority, just because even though I'm not, the owner or founder or whatever, I feel very invested in monocomics just because I've been from the beginning, and I really want to see it succeed. I want to see monocomics flourish, and I think that's a good thing for comics in Hawaii in general, indie comics in general, and also just Chris I consider a great friend, and so I want to do what I can to help with that too. So whenever there's something there, I try to put that on the top of the list, and then everything else is like, okay, we're moving things down and trying to work it out. But as far as other things, I've like done one-off pinups, for different people or covers or things like that, because those, while they can take time, they're not as much time as books. Stories, I don't know. Well, probably a lot of the creators that listen to this are gonna know exactly what I'm talking about, but I don't think the layperson knows just how much work goes into a comic page.
Right.
I mean, it's so much more than a pinup. Like just the layout, the structure, the backgrounds, everything takes so much time and work to put it together. And you want the design to flow, to make the eye go where you want them to go in terms of the panel order and things like that. And so those are things that I'm conscious of or trying to really incorporate into the pages. And I think I've gotten a lot better from day one from Aumakua, but I stand by these Pele pages are the best pages I've ever done.
I will attest to that.
Even sort of the story, the panel structure, I think is way, like I've developed quite a bit. I'm not trying to toot my own horn in that, but I've worked really hard on these, and I'm just really proud of the pages. So.
Yeah.
And you should be, because it shows the first couple that I saw in the campaign. I was like, oh wow, these are really good.
I think Chris is a local boy. He understands the relevance, that Pele is to the islands. So you're gonna pour more into it. Yeah, you're not gonna just half it. So he really didn't, and I appreciate his hard work on this one. This one is a challenge, and it's important to not just us in monocomics, but it's important to the islands to see Pele portrayed. And and you don't want to miss that mark, and you want to ensure that it's handled respectfully. Similar to Kamehameha, it needs to be addressed and handled in a way that not some outsider coming in and just toss on like a hula skirt and some coconut bra. You want to portray her as like the powerful mother figure that she is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So with that said, like let's talk a little bit more about Pele. Like what inspired you to do Pele, and like when did you know it was the right time to tell her story?
I think you got to start with the basics of just island culture, and it's like when you're over here, you pick up on it fast. Take off your slippers, gravy all over the rice, or don't turn your back on the ocean. Like when it comes to regard to Pele, we know like, okay, don't take lava rocks home with you. You know what I mean? You leave it where it is. Or if you see like an old auntie walking up the street at night, you're going to address her and take her, because that's just what it is. Because if you don't know, a lot of times Pele will take a form of an old lady, and it's like a disrespect that you're not stopping, helping out and assisting. Yeah. So it's with that in mind that I've kind of like, okay, that's kind of where I start now. Why does she do that? Why does she still interact when you have other gods of yesteryear, like, Thor and Odin and that kind of stuff? Like, whereas in their countries that they originated from, Hercules and such, why isn't that same interaction happening? But for here, Pele is like a wanderer. She's like an observer. And why is she, allowing herself to be seen? And I wanted to push that as the drive of what the comic is about, is a present day of Pele. What is she doing out there? Like, what makes her do that? What's her personal journey that she's trying to accomplish? So with that as being like kind of like the core, is like she actually has like this strong passion for the island that she helped create. And she's wandering in present day. I think she's just saying, oh, what the hell's happening here? She's kind of like, this is not the vision I had of what it would look like. So with that being the core center of it, I think she's on like a journey of self-discovery. Like, when this island is threatened by an outside force, is she willing to stand up to be a champion, which she doesn't feel like she is? Or she's just going to say, go ahead, I don't care. They're not taking care of the island, so why should I bother? You know what I mean? It's that kind of that's kind of like basically the foundation, I feel, of what the book is about.
Yeah, that's I love everything you just said, because those are all questions I myself have asked too.
Yeah.
Like you have the people who are very passionate about protecting, and then you have some who've kind of like thrown the towel in. It's so frustrating. It's like, why do you not care?
Yeah, I know. And but it's projects like this that kind of like keep the culture, keep the history relevant, so people start to care. You know what I mean? They remember, right. And then it's like, oh, you know what? It's this is still important to preserve, and it's, I think, like, when as us as creators, Moana, it's kind of like our duty to do it. So when you say like, when is the perfect time? Once I freaking figured out that there's going to be haters and there's going to be people that say, yeah, thank you for sharing that. So you got to go with your heart. And my heart and intention is to just put something out there that people can love and appreciate it for what it is. So you just got to go with that feeling and intent, and then the rest you just got to wash away, because there's going to be people standing up, hey, they'll take my gods and do this to them, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like I said, you got to understand, you have to have that local island culture back to say, okay, I'm not being disrespectful in a way. I want to just perpetuate and share that island culture and keep on going with that feeling.
Yeah. When I was reading the description of how you were kind of coming at it from, it gave me very much like Brother is Hawaii 78 vibes. Like, how would our gods and our chiefs feel, right?
That music, that one line would always kind of like play in the eye, cry for the land, cry for the people, and all that. That is kind of like, oh shoot, because in the first page that Chris is drawing, we got Pele kind of like walking in Kona, and it actually looks like it's past when she's like cruising down the looks like I think it's the King's Path in Kona that Chris drew. I think I gave him that reference. And then all of a sudden he's like, there's like a tourist in a golf cart like taking pictures, like, oh, it must be part of like Hula Show or something. That's what they're thinking in their head, right? And she's like, oh, you know what I mean? And then she keeps walking, and she's like, oh, man, this place has changed, but she's still I don't want to give too much away what she's actually feeling, because I feel that's important, that what she feels at the very end, that she brings up and say, hey, because then there's other gods that she's interacting throughout this journey that she has. And I think she's in her head, she's just trying to sort through the reasons of why should I care? And she goes to the, it starts with the god of the underworld, Milu. And he's sort of like saying, okay, here's the problem. What are you going to do about it? She's like, I ain't going to do nothing. Good luck. See you later. That's kind of like her first stance on that. And just kind of mulling around and interacting again with people, she comes like, you know what? Maybe I need some advice. And so she goes on a journey with talking to, certain other gods, her sister, her ex, and then the god of war. It's fun. Like I said, I don't want to give it too much, because it's just a fun build-up of when she has to actually either decide you're going to throw down and step up. Because I think a lot of like gods are like kind of like, our own ohana, where they have beefs, and they don't necessarily like each other. But I think the important message too is like, yeah, you can have beefs, but when someone attacks your family in your home, you're going to stand, right? You're going to stand up for it. So that's kind of like another little morsel of a dose I put in there, just so it's like, hey, when it's time to go, you got to do it. So step up. So it's yeah, like I said, we're not giving too much of the script away. I don't like be like when trailer
for me to be team spoiler alert.
And then you're like, oh, I just saved $13. I don't need to watch this movie. So yeah.
No, you need to buy this book, you guys. Buy this book.
But you know what I mean? So it was fun. I love the interactions of what Chris is doing. I let Chris be in charge of all the Big Island portion of the book, where she's wandering around talking to her other the other gods. And then for Francesco, and if you guys don't know who Francesco is, his last name is Mana. I think that's more than coincidence. It's something more than that. So he's doing the side of the thing where that threat that's coming to Hawaii, that's making its way. It's pretty much all action for him. So he gets to play around with this godling. I call him a godling because he's a young god. He's just stepping up, and he's proving like I'm number one kind of thing. And he's going on a tour, just wiping out. He said, "Come on, I'll challenge anybody." Boom, boom, boom. And it's his direct path is Hawaii. So he's gonna have a little bit of a wake up when he gets here. So
that's really amazing.
Yes.
So Chris, like, what is it like for you to like be the one to put these gods on the comic pages? I mean, because this is like the first time Hawaiian culture, like Pele and these gods are going to be hitting comics. Like, what is that like for you, and what is your kind of process when you're creatively coming up with the concepts and the mood and all of that you're putting onto the pages?
So was it for me or for Chris? Okay, so Chris Carvalho he basically he had a lot of the designs or concepts, and so for me it's more about like showing their personality in those characters, because I know what his vision for what they look like is, but I just like the way that they stand or do this, just the different things that how they're interacting in the comic, making sure that it kind of feels like it has personality, that it's not just some cardboard cutout there, and trying to keep it consistent also. So that's all my view for that has been. I don't think, like in other books, I've given a little bit more input on like if I felt costume design or whatever was there, but frankly for this is I mean, I feel passionate about it in getting it right, but this is Chris's passion project, and so like he had a vision for what these people look like, what they do, so I wanted to just stay true to that vision.
That's really cool.
Yeah, a lot of the and then a lot of the work, and similar to Kamehameha, we're actually going off like the local artist legends of Uncle Herb Kane, his paintings and stuff, and and Brooke. You kind of like have to piece together things from the past, because they're more on point in regards to that. Yeah, so with that, you kind of have to mold it after that, maybe update it just a little bit to cater to just I guess the overall, like, okay, like you can't just be running around in a model. Yeah, you got to have something a little bit more than that, right? So it's to make it I don't know, more practical, I guess, because when they go up against other gods, they're not totally vulnerable. You have other things to I guess to defend yourself against. It's a challenge, because you're not gonna make everybody happy, but you got to just trust. You got to trust the vision and just keep rolling with it.
Yep, I 100% can relate to that for sure.
Yes.
I mean, because like in mine, we are talking about the mall, and those are like there is no real reference work.
No,
Like
yeah,
it's
you
all
have to
like
kind of
our
like
own
go
way.
like totally okay, let's try to see what that would look like. And yeah, I get it. Yeah. There's nothing out there for that. Or like if you see like maybe some books with the mention of it, maybe you'll
Mhm.
see like when, like what do you call those big lizards or something? But it's Komodo dragons or something. But it's how you feel like your interpretation basically. Like, okay, I think it would probably look more like that. So just roll with
Mhm.
it. That's the best you can do, and just trust it.
Yep. Sounds good. Sounds good.
So,
So, with this particular project, I feel like there's I don't know. It's like it's different than the other ones that you've done with with Amakua and Anui Nui Warriors. Like,
mhm.
how do you feel like this is different from the other things that you've done? And is there anything like intentional that you've done to give it a fresh thing, or is that just something like that is like in the eyes of the beholder, I guess?
I think it's for this one. Like Kamehameha had that level of respect that you had to approach it
Hmm.
with. There was more resources out there to learn a little bit more about him, and to present it. Pele is like, right? I mean, there's people on some of the message boards. Ho, I don't know if you should do that, or you hope you're doing it right, or I forget. Somebody asked me, did you get permission from somebody? I think someone put that on one of the things I read. I was like, did I get permission from someone? I said, well, I went to the Big Island, and this is, this is what I did maybe like a couple months ago. I went to the crater, and that's what I asked. I said, hey, I'm doing a story about you. I just want you to know I'm going to do it the best way I know how, and it's with aloha. And you
Hmm.
put it out there, and that's what it is. I ask permission. So,
Hmm.
that's all you can really do, because you understand that it is that level of respect that islanders understand. It's a basic. You just got to do it. So,
Hmm.
with that leading, my intention and my heart with it. Like I said, honestly, I think this is a step above Kamehameha in regards to even Kamehameha had to bow down to Pele at one point in his life. And I think, actually probably more than that, but there was one story with Kamehameha and Pele interaction I just found fascinating. I think I think there was a just total lava outbreak, and it was all coming down. Nothing was stopping it. It would not stop. And this was unheard of at the past. But Kamehameha, he was a little bit older. I think he went up to one of the lava flows, and he cut a piece of his hair lock and he threw it in. And that's like giving up a piece of your mana. I think no chief before that, as far as males and stuff, they didn't do that. That just was unheard of. But the lava flow and all that chaos, it stopped shortly after.
Hmm.
So you know that if Kamehameha said, "Okay, I have understanding. Like I am just mortal. You are, you are a step above that. But I'm giving you my mana and respect. Please, if you can just maybe calm down." And then it just so happened that it did. So there's actually a picture. I think I got that from one of Herb Coney's paintings at a hotel. It was a big one, and you could see him standing in his old attire. He was older, and he just is putting it in. I was like, wow, this
Oh
imagery
yeah.
is amazing. So it's, and then like Kamehameha, it's all about respect. And I think it helps. Yeah, obviously, me not being like just writing it from New York, I have a little bit more, probably a dab bit more credibility than someone who's writing it way out or something. But even if I was, I think if people understand that what the intent is, then it's that much more better. And I think if they just hear it from you and you're not making fun of it, I think
Yeah.
that's the best thing you can do. And it's like I said, in the end, it's creating that story. And our ancestors were storytellers, so creating a story that's engaging, maybe even you can get a lesson in there. That's even more fantastic. And I think Chris and I and Francesca, we managed to do it in this book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really great. I one of the things I love specifically about Pele is because it shows the Hawaiian worldview about like the environment being a part. It's not something separate, right? Like
Yeah.
in terms of like asking for permission to enter into spaces, like it's as if it was a person and like you coming into somebody's house, right? Like
Yeah.
you don't just come in. Like you gotta say,
Mhm.
"Hui!" Like I'm here. I have
Yeah.
good intentions,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
and I feel like that is so important too.
Yeah, I think that a lot of that is missed. I mean, you don't
Mhm.
people unless you are taught that, then it's just here you go, wandering around, and you know what I mean. So, and I think that's one of the good attributes of like local people in general. They kind of have that understanding. Okay, hey, you be respectful when you go over here, or in this, and we're talking like the integration of nature. You don't just mess around things. You keep it clean. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
I like
No
that
be,
about. Mhm.
no be mahaoi.
Yes. Yes.
So Chris Loman, earlier we were talking about the growth in your art. With this particular book, what like what do you think has changed for you, as you've evolved from the other properties? Because I know Kamehameha was done by DJ, so that was, Amakua was yours, and I think did you do Anoi Noi Warriors
You
too?
did.
I did some pages. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of it is just experience. Especially with the storytelling. I got to tell you, Chris, his scripts are challenging in that he the way that he wants to end some pages, or it's like fitting that, because he's like, I want this to be a skinny long panel, and I'm like, okay, but the story has these things, so just trying to make it work in light of that. He stretches me. He makes me kind of earn it, in trying to, fit in the different things, the elements that he wants to put in there. So just having done that, for however many years now, I think that's gotten a lot better. The other thing for this one, I mean, Nui Nui Warriors, I did full pages also, but it was just a few. And for Amakua, I was more or less doing just breakdowns. So there's a vast difference in the breakdowns versus the finished art. And so this one, my pages are all finished art. And so it's been, I don't know, I've had a lot more freedom to kind of really, add the depth in terms of like the blacks and incorporating a lot more shadow and things like that I didn't necessarily get to do when I was just doing breakdowns and things like that. And so being able to put all that stuff in, and I think that it makes a difference. So,
and I think also I mentioned when Chris was drawing Pele and stuff, I would always tell him, hey, you got to feed Auntie a little bit. You got to thick her up a little bit, because Chris has a really a beautiful way to portray women. But for Pele, I wanted her to be a little bit more thicker, a little more poly looking, a little bit more Amazon Wonder Woman type, more more imposing. So that was the challenge and stuff I was kept pushing Chris for, and then he felt the rhythm, so it worked out in the end. And I just didn't want to portray her as like a frail person, but there's someone very like they can stand on their own, and you're not to mess with them.
Yes, for sure. Mahalo for doing that. Okay, so like before we started the show, we were talking a little bit about the kids, and so it's one of the things that I love. You work with the younger generation, and even in the last campaign for Kamehameha, I believe one of your student interns, right, did one of the covers.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit more about that and how you build and maintain your relationships and partnership with the schools and stuff.
It's that's the amazing part. Moana and we were talking during the break for those of you guys are listening, but there is really a void. I call it, there's a void. That's all that there is to it. There's that younger book selection that you can grab pretty much, but a lot of the times what's missing is the middle-aged into high school. Now, if locally over here for kids, there is material out there, but there's not enough probably source for them to like have stories that they can relate to, latch onto a character like, oh, I can feel that, and they're looking and sounding like me. There's not enough of that, honestly. And for young creators out there, who love Hawaii or live in Hawaii, and my suggestion is to fill that void. Help us, because me and Moana, we're doing it, but at the same time, we could always lift others to try to do it too, because it's important to have, for the keiki, to keep the culture of the islands, to keep the history of the islands relevant, and so they can care about it. I guess it's like, they're not going to understand unless you're going to give them the material and about how important these things are, and they begin to care about it. So these are important topics, not only in the sense of the diversity, but just having material that that just can really show and share the culture that we have here, which is so special. And there was really not enough of it. So if Moana and I are doing it, but at the same time, if we can inspire others to do it as well, then we do it. I've been very fortunate that I guess it's funny too, because I got ads on my car, Pele and stuff. And I get contacts via email that way. And they say, hey, I work at such and such school. Can you come talk story? And if I can fit in, I do, because I just understand the importance of that and how, and they do too. A lot of educators understand that there's not enough of it, and they want stuff. They're looking for stuff to get kids excited about reading and just learning. And here I am and Chris, we're pushing projects that are relevant to that and get to help move that forward. So I'm just excited to be a part of that. And anytime I get a chance to either talk, I gotta talk. Oh yeah, we're busy next week with stuff, but any chance I get a talk to share it, I do, because I understand that by doing so, you're just gonna keep building that love for it and love for the islands, which I have and Chris has and you have. So, and then sharing it is just all the better for other people. Outsiders can look and say that that's special. Let's help them too take care of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mahalo for doing that, because every time I, even if it's just one kid, right? But you go in the classroom and they're like, in wonder, like, oh my gosh, like
that's the best.
An auntie or uncle that like, like
no,
you
for
need that,
them, and then you can only catch their attention at certain times, like, without them being distracted with other things in life. That younger generation, you're really imprinting on them, the importance and the excitement of it, and they get excited quick, right? They're like, oh my gosh, who is this? And that's fun and all, but then you understand too that there's a responsibility. Like, I'm trying to like provide you, that content and to get you excited and keep you reading and get you excited about our culture, so you can be that next to carry it up.
Yeah, definitely. How about you, Chris Loman?
What was the question?
The question was like, how do you enjoy like working with the kids and kind of the community give back aspect of the projects that you work on?
Well, I don't have as much direct contact as Chris for sure. I don't get the invites to talk to schools and stuff like that, but that's not really when my interactions more are like when we are at Sea Life Park or at Con and things like that. And that's really the best part of it, seeing kids come up and just being excited about these superheroes that look like people that, are here, all of that. And I really haven't had a chance to talk about Pele with the kids just because it's not out yet. But I'm sure that's going to be a big part. Like, what was it like? How do you, how did you decide this? And a lot of the questions that you guys have. And the kind of cool thing about kids is, and the responsibility on us is, a lot of them, this is going to be their first exposure to these stories. Right. And we want to make sure that it's, we can't guarantee that everything is, it's fiction is the bottom line, but we all we can do is be faithful to what we feel are the, just what is true in our hearts about these gods and people, the characters that we're portraying, and making sure honoring those ideals and the history behind it, and hope that some of that comes out to
and I think for local people, local kids who are learning that, a lot of times the first exposure you get to Pele is like, she's the boogeyman, or like, hey, be careful. That's but that should be just more like hey, there's a level of respect that should be there for that. But at the same time, you're talking not only a goddess who devourer of the land, but she's also creating. You know what I'm saying? She's out there making a home for you, right? That's irrelevant and the more the passionate side of who Pele is, right? So there's a balance, light and dark, for her. And I think for this story, I wanted to show you that side too, because you only see, a lot of times you only see the watch out. But then I wanted to say, what, there's a deep sense of that she's caring for the island. There's a responsibility and love that she has for it, and she wants you to instill that in you and this generation, right, present day. So like I said, those are the topics I wanted to really hit on, and hopefully it resounds with the readers. So I'm excited to see that result.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up that, because that is like one of the things that I love about Pele. People are mostly focused on her destructive nature because that's what volcanoes do, but they forget about the part where like everything that we're standing on was one volcanic ash, right? Like the thing upon which we build. So like you can't have one without the other. And then sometimes there are things that need to be destructed and cleansed, like they need to be gone.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because that makes me think of this time where I forget which, this was before the last big one that we had, but there was one, it was cutting through, the lavas were cutting through some neighborhood, and there was a lot of rich people there, and they would come up to the community board meeting. I was watching on Olelo or something, and they would say, yes, is there a way you guys can bring some bulldozers and divert stuff? And the local people are like looking at each other. You can see them in the crowd. And finally, you got one auntie come up. You know what? You guys are all guests here. This is her house. Okay, this is her house. So she wants to come through yours. She's going to. Okay. And that's for us too. We got houses, but we know if Pele wants to come, she gonna come. Okay. And you guys are not understanding that. And then step back. And then another Holly person come up. And then the same thing. Do you guys have bulldozers too? They're not learning. They're not learning. So but then that goes to them not feeling that connection that local people have to the land. Yeah. So it's for them, it's like it's me. It's just I get it. I mean, a lot of local people lost their houses, but also there's that level of understanding. Yeah. That's one of the sides of Pele, right? That that we don't know what the bigger reason was for that was, but there's got to be. I don't know, and and it's hurtful to see people lose their houses. Don't get me wrong. I'm not here making fun of losing their houses, God forbid. But it's just that local people have more of a clear understanding of what that is. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I saw a similar video, if not the same one, and I was like, "Bro, you never do your research before you came." Like, active volcano underline.
You never have insurance. You never wonder why for your house. No, but I mean, you go in there with the understanding, and just that's all it is. But like I said, Pele's. I wanted to show a different side of Pele, and to show that little softer side, little more like, okay, we had a character, and it's just a little one of these little birds, Eevee birds, called Kolohe, and she's interacting with him, making like more like he's a pest, but then she gets sort of connected to him towards the end, and it's kind of like, I don't know if that's a metaphor, but I think it is. It's just
yeah, well, you're the writer, right? It can be a metaphor.
It is, right? I think I did it that way. I did it, and then because towards the end she has that love for him again, right? And then, but anyway, shoot, just killed the metaphor for y'all.
It's all right.
But you'll see.
Need a reminder. Yeah.
You'll see.
Oh, that's so fun. Yeah, I love putting the little animals in there too. So
Yeah.
I'm like, yes.
Little interactions in there, right? Look at have those. It's fun.
Yeah, it's just like ours. We have like our little Dizzy, and like, go find her where she stay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think we have another one. When she goes up to the Mauna to visit her sister, Poliahu, she's got like a puel, and so they have a little interaction too. It's just, yeah, it's a good way to bring a little bit more, I don't want to say realism, but it's a little more heart to it than just two guys sitting there talking. You got a little bit more on a personal level that you can relate to it. That's where I went with that, and it's just fun. I mean, I don't know. I looked at them like the gods as, like I said, one family, and so the interactions that they have, it's like, yeah, there's disdain and maybe a little bit. You hurt my feelings before, there's a little bit of temper, but when it comes down to it, they can talk story. Like, Pele went to her up on the mountain for advice, and she's like, what? All right, let's talk story. Let's see what you're about. And then so it's. And then Chris nails it with the like I said, he was talking expressions. You'll see them in the book, like so it's the importance of getting home. Like, wow, you asking me, or like it's like, oh shoot, I gotta go talk to my ex now for something. I gotta ask him one favor. And it's funny. It's kind of like local style. It's fun as she's going throughout and visiting her, either her siblings or other gods. So I enjoy it, and you enjoy it too. I mean, I think it's like 50 pages. So you really get a really good sense of what it's all about. I feel. I think it really nailed it. That's another thing you were mentioning about DC and Marvel and stuff. When you're like in indie, you can do whatever the hell you want as far as page count. Granted, it's expenses, but sometimes the story is worth it and it's important. So just go with it.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know if you have it on your page, but that's something you should definitely call out, because 50 pages is a meaty comic.
Yeah, there's some, definitely meat on that bone. So it's one, like, yeah, and then definitely Chris, it stands alone. It's not like, now I don't think, it's like, oh, I feel unfulfilled. You get it. So.
No. Yeah, this is essentially self-contained. I mean, if people want more, we'll come up with more. This one, like Kamehameha, I think there's obviously way more to a story, and so
much more. And that's another one with DJ I want to work on. But man, it's all about that time and trying to sort things out. But we got to keep going though. We got to keep it moving, especially creating these projects and creating these stories. It's when you're older, you understand. When you're older, you're like, okay, that you understand the importance more. When you're younger, like you kind of more selfish, like, oh, me. But then when you're older, like, hey, this is bigger than me. This is way bigger than me, and it's important.
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, just from what you told me, I'm like, yes, please make more. Don't have it.
Right. Yeah, I would love to. I mean, I'd love to see. Oh no, I can't give it away. Shoot. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, don't give away too much. I was gonna ask a question about like, so who else are we gonna? But like,
there's definitely some surprise guests in there that you're like, what?
Fantastic.
So anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely, guys, get this book. Like, I'm so excited right now.
Yeah. I know, because from whatever paragraph that a synopsis I gotta put, I don't want to bore people with the length of it, but this is much more than just that. You get to see all these different things, right? And now you get to look in the window a little bit more, like, oh, okay. But yeah, for people who just gonna read the synopsis, you're gonna miss out. This is a really, really, it gets you a really good adventure.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. All right, so we got like 5 minutes left. There was a comment earlier, and hopefully he's still on. Ryan Permison. He said, "What are your favorite comic book movies and why?"
Chris?
There's tons of great comic book movies, but like the ones that stand out immediately, like original Superman, the Batman. I really liked the Batman Begins and Dark Knight Rises, or Dark Knight. As far like, I don't know, that there's so many good movies. Like it's more like moments in movies. Like if you put them all together, they and it's because of like the nostalgia they bring, right? It's the things that like harken to stuff that you remember and things that you're fond of, like Spider-Man 2, the original with Tobey Maguire. When that first came out, like just feeling him like holding the train back and all of that. I mean, that was one of the, even though that scene, I don't recall that ever being in a comic, it felt very much like the Spider-Man struggling with the weight of the world on him and everything there. So it's like whenever a comic book movie can capture those feelings, then I think it's a success. And I don't know, I think we're in a very blessed time to be a nerd. I don't really think that, some of the movies are not the best. Just the fact that they're there is amazing. Like, do I like to give a bad example? Green Lantern. that was underwhelming. Yeah. He's one of my favorite characters, and I was like, but, I'm still happy to have been able to see it. It's still cool. Could they make a better one? Yes. Yeah.
With sure. John Stewart, I'm hoping they're gonna bring John. But I totally agree with them. There is those moments like there's a lot of those moments in like Avengers, the last one. Cap getting the hammer,
right?
Cap screaming, "Avengers Assemble!" When you're talking about those moments and stuff, they'll give you chicken scene where the crowd is yelling, and it's a fun time, like you said, to be that nerd. And I think there was one time I got to be able to review a movie, and it was for Thor Ragnarok, and I was like, man, well, I'm lucky because it was free and it was freaking good. So I enjoyed it was challenging. They put like the humor and they put the drama and they put the action. They did it right. I think the past Thor, they just went totally swing to the comedy more. And it wasn't as fun as Ragnarok. It was like Ragnarok had a blend of, you could feel different emotions. So I think it really depends on writing when it comes to these comics, movies. Because the DC tends to be more serious and stuff. Marvel tends to be able to work on the humor and realism of the character. And more, I think they more successful in that regard. That's how I look at it anyway. But always, you're always going to support your boys too. Like, if no one's going to make fun of Aquaman. Who's going to make fun of Aquaman when you got Brother Jay out there? And then with The Rock's Black Adam, no one's going to make fun of him. They're too imposing. They're the right person for it. So, I just wish, like, I don't know, but like I wish there was like more like I don't know, maybe if they help it, maybe that's our job too, is to create the Polynesian superhero that they can do, right? It's like that Samoan one or that Kanaka, right? Just it'd be fun to see that too. Eventually, maybe that's our job as creators and artists, to level up and so for that next gen to have opportunities like that. So, the hard work is there for us. However, maybe we won't see it, but that next gen can be there to do it. So that's good. That's all good.
Absolutely. All righty. Well, our hour has gone by so fast, as always on this show. Tell folks where they can find you. I know I put the Kickstarter link. I'm gonna drop it again so folks can go and check out Pele. Remember, guys, 50-page comic here. This is
I forgot to mention that. I should have. But you can go to just our website, moanacomics.com, www.moanacomics.com. You can take a look at the website. There's a link right there. Just click it. Boom, you're automatically in it. And supporting it, you really get a lot of good rewards. I did a ton of variant opportunities for people to really choose and whatever resounds with them. And a lot of and I'm grateful for all the artists that stepped up. Chris did one. He actually, but his name can be revealed to. We got a festival coming up next Saturday. We're gonna reveal it because then Other Realms Comic Store, the awesome comic store on the island. Yeah. They are working in conjunction with us with this one, so we're gonna reveal it. Pass out free prints of the comic cover, sign it, pass it out to people. But in regards to the comic and how you can still do it, we run until the end of October. Please support if you can. I appreciate it. And you don't have to give if you cannot. Hey, we understand hard times, but share it. Share it on top of your wall. Say, hey, this seems kind of interesting. Look into it. So that's all we ask, is just to get the word. That's how it is for indie. As long as the coconut wireless is intact, just help us out in that form too. But I appreciate you, Moana. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely. Alrighty, guys. So go and check out Pele #1 on Kickstarter right now, live through Halloween. Get it in. And then while you guys are perusing that, also go check out my campaign, Journey to Ikuwa, the third book in the Adventures of Nakoa and Nohea series, bringing this Hawaiian culture to the world out here. And I'm really excited to be in y'all's company and, working alongside each other to create a more inclusive and welcoming space for our Pacific Islander communities.
Yes.
So thank you guys all so much. Have a good weekend. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.
Bye.
So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If they won't tell it, we will.
If this the land of the free, it was a freedom then. When they annexed Hawaii and called it Cedar Lands, without any type of payment and no signing off. Called themselves the Republic in 1894. 1.2 million acres overtaken from the native Hawaiians. When they resisted, the West retaliated in violence and erasure. The Hawaiian language is banned as part of colonialism's plan to expand,
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe. As a part of their ongoing war with Asia, used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. No regard for all the locals. School will never let you know. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will.
So if we put Hawaii into perspective, well, Black and Asian history is interconnected. Considering the fight with the Pacific, then of course, versus Asia, he was treated as a middleman for war, but didn't let the Western colorism run its course, cause dark skin was a sign of dignity to core. The land was taken in the name of capitalism, when prior to it was an actual kingdom, clapped back at the system.
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe. As a part of their ongoing war with Asia, used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation.
Network out for all the locals, school will never let you know. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf, if we won't tell it we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf, if we won't tell it we will. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf, if we won't tell it we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf, if we won't tell it we will. We will.